I think it was quite confusing really, because usually when you get on a plane it's to do something exciting like go on holiday, but we were going to see Auschwitz, and although I was looking forward to the trip, I didn't really know how to feel because it wasn't a nice place to be going.
I think it's important because by learning about pre-war Jewish life you find out that those people were exactly the same as us now, and that just shows how this could have happened to any group in society, and helps us to learn why it's so important to do something about it.
And over half the people that lived there started to be taken away, started to be rounded up, started to be deported.
There was almost an element of defiance in saying, me, Simpson Kruger, I came back after the war, I survived with my brother and sister in the forest. I came back here but I couldn't find my father and my mother, my other brother, my other sister, my uncles, my aunts, the people I grew up with. And when he died, of course, living history in this town died. And this is not uncommon throughout all of Poland and many parts of Eastern Europe where there were Jewish communities. So we're sitting in a place which is meant to remind you not of death and destruction, that we will see later in the day. But so you'll understand there were real people like you and I who lived here, who studied here, who ran here, who prayed here, who had fun here, and today absolutely nothing, zero.
The piles of hair that are kept in Auschwitz I, and because that was harvested from corpses that the Nazis had murdered, and it's just like, for me, hair is such like a personal thing. Like everybody has their own distinct hairstyle, and here it was just like bundled together, discarded because they didn't care about the people at all, and they took absolutely everything from them, and that just really like showed that for me.
It's hard to think just one thing, but probably living conditions and how they're so dire for them.
Also looking at the individual shoes really sort of hit home with a few of us, because it just showed the different types of people and how they didn't expect what was going to happen at Auschwitz. Sort of as we expected really. It was very grey, very rainy when we went, and I think that added to the atmosphere there. It's quite eerie, and they always say the birds don't fly over Auschwitz, and we looked out for it and we didn't see any birds flying over Auschwitz.
It's really eerie, and you can tell that something awful happened there.
Who had family in Auschwitz told us a lot of personal testimonies about people who'd been through the gates at Auschwitz, and I think that really helped to rehumanise the victims there, rather than just looking at names on walls. The stories behind it helped with that.
In the final room we entered, which just had a wall full of pictures, and they were just like normal family photos, and looking at those families you saw how happy they were before the war, and then just what it did to them. I think Auschwitz-Birkenau was much more as it once was. It was much less like a museum. I think for me, Auschwitz it was a bit too touristy, I think, and it really detracted from the atmosphere. Whereas Auschwitz-Birkenau, you could really feel how harrowing it was.
Birkenau was much worse. Wooden huts, the size of it was staggering. Straight from the guards tower, you could go on for miles. And the lack of housing. Yes and no. It's how I imagine them, but you get a true feel of the size and how bad it must be.
I think not about the atmosphere or anything like that, but they're a lot bigger than I expected them to be, and I didn't realise how many millions of people lived there.
That was the gas chamber, and what was here on the left? The entrance room. And guys, the way in was down there, by the steps.
There's obvious one like discrimination, things like that, but I think the main one is being a bystander and how some of the Nazi soldiers just let things happen.
I think it's taught me that it was just ordinary people that the Holocaust happened to, and it happened to them so easily, but that it could easily happen again, and I think we really have to be aware of that to stop it from happening again. It's also taught me that there's like a tiny act can change the course of your whole life. So for instance, we talked to a survivor and her mother was saved by a farmer gave her a glass of milk and she thought that had saved her life, and that was just one small act that meant she survived. So it just showed me that tiny little things, whether they be good or bad, can determine the fate of the rest of your life. Shocking.
I don't think you can sum experience in one word, because there's so many things going on and so many you can say that you just can't nail it down to one thing.